If there was more than if there was something higher than 24/7, it would be that.
Really?
Yeah. Clients don't care about your schedule. Clients aren't concerned with when you go to bed or when you wake up. And my clients are all over the world. So if it's 2:00 in Paris, it may be 3 a.m. here, and they'll bust out a phone call or a text. Yeah. Do not disturb on your iPhone is my friend. Yeah.
So when are the hours where you turn that on? Turn on Do Not Disturb and say this is
8 p.m. to 6 a.m.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. I have to sleep.
I guess that's reasonable.
I'm human. I have to sleep or else, yeah.
So you have clients all over the world, but the properties you're selling and stuff is California, Los Angeles?
Yes, primarily California.
But they're
absolutely.
just traveling.
Yeah. Southern California. I've sold homes in Orange, Ventura, wherever the work takes me. And those are usually friends that are outside of the area like that.
Right.
That I want to help.
And so how did you get into all of this?
Oh, that's a great question. I bought a home. In 2009, I bought a home, and I had an awful realtor. I won't mention his name, Eugene Mitchell.
There we go.
And it was just a disaster. The whole process was just a disaster. He's no longer in the business, and he would never listen to this. But it was a rough experience.
Yeah.
So when I went to sell it, I got my license. I was like, hey, I want to know more about what's going on. And so I didn't sell it myself, but I just started studying and got my license. And I sold one little condo in Reseda real quick, like 2 months later, and quit my job.
So what were you doing before then?
I was a land surveyor with LA County Department of Public Works.
A land surveyor.
Yeah, kind of like an engineer, but I worked in the field.
Yeah.
Totally other side of the planet from real estate.
Not a lot of communication and land surveying, I would think.
Well,
right?
most of it was like on a walkie-talkie with some introvert subordinate, that didn't want to listen to me and didn't want to do the work we had to do. So, yeah. Not a lot of communication.
So it was good preparation for
I tell you
convincing.
what, I am on a mission to learn the real estate business and communication and working with people. So I study quite a bit. I read a lot of books.
Really?
I go through a lot of training. I have a business coach. It's a constant learning process.
You're pretty serious about it, yeah.
Oh, you have to be. Yeah. When you're dealing with people's homes, it's the biggest financial asset they have typically, and then it's very emotional as well.
Is that what makes you a good agent versus a not so good agent? Is being good with people and all those like
We're going to
skills
assume
you
you're a good
have,
agent.
right?
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, you can assume that. I'm a great agent because of my communication abilities and then my style as well.
Yeah.
I'm very open. I'm very honest, which is challenging. A lot of people don't want to hear the truth.
So are you honest with what side? The side of the person you're selling the property for? The side of the person who's trying to buy the property? Both?
I'm honest on all sides.
Okay.
That's really the only way you can play it, because if you're not, you'll get called out quick.
Yeah.
You'll get pulled on the carpet quick. So I'm brutally honest with all parties at all times. Yeah.
Is it rough for
It's
them to
extremely
hear
rough.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this market, my average price point's like $1.7 million. So it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money. There's my sellers take some big haircuts sometimes, $30,000, $100,000, $250,000
Yeah.
So it's challenging. It's very emotional.
I suppose the thing that they don't like to hear is that they have expectations and they want something, and you come in like this. No, sorry, you can't find what you're looking for the amount of money you're willing to spend, or the money that you can spend.
Expectations, you have to keep them in check.
Yeah.
It's where you start the process of keeping expectations in check. And of course, when you're a seller or a buyer, you have high expectations of what you're going to get for what you can spend. And that's when I come in.
With the cold truth.
Right. And the honesty. But,
So do you feel like because of websites such as, was it Zillow?
Zillow, yeah.
If
Do
your
you
French is
feel like-
Xylo, let's get it.
Right. We can run with Xylo today. That's I like that name better, actually.
But do you feel like people are, kind of come to you to buy a home or sell a home, and they have those numbers that they got online from those websites, and those might be or more or less accurate?
It's a fantastic question, and you're absolutely right. Buyers and sellers today come with more information, right or wrong, than ever before. Back in the day, you really needed a realtor to find a home or to sell a home. Now you have all this information online. Most people start their search online. Yeah, so sellers, I get it all the time. Oh, Zestimate says my home's worth, $300,000 more than it's actually worth, and
$300,000.
Well, just the estimates are off, is what I'm getting at. You know what I mean? So you can be off by hundreds of thousands of dollars, but then again, that's setting expectations with the seller.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets emotional.
And those
rough.
numbers are off because those websites function on pure like square footage and numbers of bathrooms without actual quality of spaces and finishes. Or?
Correct. Yeah, Zillow does not come and tour each home before they slap a Zestimate on it, and that's where I come in. I take a look at the house. I take a look at the comparable sales that have sold or either active on the market, and that's when I come to a price. Yeah, and then you're also dealing with the seller's motivation. Like if they're like, "Hey, I've got this great job that's waiting for me. I have to be there as soon as possible." You want to price the home to sell, maybe a little bit below market value. Or if they're like, "Hey, this is like my third home. I'm trying to get this price.
Right.
Otherwise, I'll lease it out." You just kind of work with what they're working with.
But so the actual estimation or evaluation of the property happens by you, right? It's going to be more accurate than the one that's on Zillow. But that discrepancy between Zillow and what you would give, like, how is that determined? Is that because you have a special reading on the market and you've seen a bunch of the stuff? Or is there, how is that determined?
Well, that's determined, again, by me taking a look at the specific property. And then a lot of times I'll go and view similar properties actually on foot with my own eyes. And then I'll just run the numbers and come to a determination of what we think we can sell the home for. And in this market, which is starting to shift from a very strong seller's market to a more normal balanced market, you can be off. You can still be off quite a bit. Pricing homes, especially in LA, is extremely challenging. There's not a lot of cookie cutter homes here. So there's the comps aren't all the same. It's not like these big tracks of 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1,200 square foot homes where they're all selling for $200,000. It's like, you have $3 million home right next to $1 million home. One's 3,000 square feet, the other one's 1,100. And so it can get a little wacky.
But basically, so basically you're comparing the whatever house we're talking about with a range of houses that are similar in the same kind of area. But all that comparison happens just by you, or is there some kind of other database of information that we're not privy to that's used as to establish what the prices are of these houses?
Well, you have the agent price and you have the seller price. So we're talking about listing a home for sale or representing a buyer. You have what the agent thinks it's worth, and then what the seller or the buyer thinks it's worth. But yeah, for the most part, that all comes from me, the agent. Yeah,
and that's just your reading of seeing all the different houses in the area, right?
Yeah, just experience and just comparison shopping. Because how do buyers determine price?
Yeah,
they comparison shopping. They compare the features and the benefits of a product versus features and benefits of other products. Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of funny because is there like a league of real estate agents and you just decide we're going to up the price of everything and no one will ever know?
Well, I'll tell you, it's the big leagues of real estate agents that do that, and they overprice listings so that they can get the listing.
Right.
And it's harsh to say it, but the average agent the average agent doesn't do a lot of business. So they'll buy listings. That's what we say. And it's really detrimental to the industry and to the client, really, number one, to overprice a listing just to get somebody to sign a contract.
Explain that to me. So, but if they overprice the listing, they're still going to find someone to buy it?
No, absolutely not. That's the thing. So typically when somebody goes to sell a home, they interview several agents. Well, a lot of times it's very easy in their mind with their expectations where they're at and wanting to get the most money to choose the agent that prices the home the highest. Like, Agent A says I can get 2 million. Agent B says I can get 1.8, and Agent C, who's probably the honest best agent, says I can get you 1.6.
Right.
Well, they're going to go with that 2 million a lot of times if the 1.6 agent can't convince them or direct them, be honest with them. Yeah.
So if you're being honest, you have to come in and really, be good at communicating and convince them, you might get higher numbers, but it's really unlikely it'll sell for this much because of all these reasons that I can tell you very specifically, as opposed to selling them either just a straight lie, which I would presume happened. Yeah, your eyes got really big with that one.
Yeah. Oh, it's tough. And convincing is a terrible word, and I take that back. You can't convince anybody to do anything. All you can do is just kind of guide them and advise them, if you will. And really, it's not how I feel or anything. It's like, look, it's all on paper. This home sold. This home is just like yours. It sold for this much money in this amount of time. So all those factors kind of weigh in. Like if somebody's moving for a job that they have to be there in 30 days, and a home sold for their price, but it took 120 days, that plan's not really going to work for them. So you have to price it a little bit lower so you get more activity quicker.
Yeah. So I want to go back. So how long have you been doing this now?
I'm just starting my 4th year in real estate.
Right on.
Yeah.
Congrats.
I was a land surveyor for 16 years.
Okay.
I was a land surveyor for 16 years. I started when I was like 9.
Wait.
That's a joke. I don't know if that joke came through on radio.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah.
I worked for a private firm, and then I worked for Orange County Department of Public Works. Then I moved to LA, and I worked for LA County Department of Public Works. And
So it again, like we said, it's a big jump from land surveyor to real estate agent.
Nobody makes that move.
Did you have any, why do you think that happened? Other than the events that occurred, was there something inherent in you that were you destined to stumble across this profession?
Yeah, midlife crisis.
A midlife crisis?
No, I'm
At 20?
just kidding.
Well, if you started working at 9, then yeah.
No, I was just coming up on my 40th birthday when I decided to take the leap. And so I got my license while I still have my full-time job. And I sold that first house while I still had my full-time job. And my clients loved me, to be totally honest with you. My clients were like, oh my gosh, you're so much better than our last realtor. You did an amazing job. And it did go really well. It was easier than it is. I will tell you that. So I just was like, you know what? I think there's a lot more opportunity in real estate here on the West Side. I wanted to make more money, to be honest with you. At that point, It was just all about making more money and just taking on new challenges. But quitting a government job, I had just gotten married.
Yeah.
I had benefits.
Yeah, good benefits.
Great benefits, retirement accounts, life insurance, you name it. So I took a big risk, but my wife was very supportive, and here we are, still grinding, making it happen.
Grinding. But yeah, I guess it's the fact that what is the expression? You eat what you hunt, so to speak.
Okay.
Isn't that right? You eat what you kill. What's the expression? Those are sharks. Meaning the amount of money you make is directly related to the amount of effort and the kind of things that you sell.
100%.
As opposed to a fixed salary. I don't know what your salary was like at the land surveyors, but assuming it's fixed and you get a percentage increase every year or whatever it is. But it's not like you can just jump up and increase the amount of money you're making but twofold in a year. It's just not going to happen, right?
Not going to happen. Yeah.
But with real estate, there's the possibility of it happening.
Oh, I could make what I made at my last job in one deal.
Yeah.
Right now. Yeah. And I'm getting ready to list a property that could make that happen. Yeah. So I love the opportunity. I love a challenge personally. Land surveying was very challenging and it was a great opportunity, but I was ready for something new. Yeah.
And you had mentioned something interesting, which was that you're always learning right now.
Yes.
Like reading. What are you reading?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm reading several books right now. The Power of Consistency by Weldon Long, and he was a criminal, essentially, a drug addict, a criminal. You know,
Okay.
Consistent.
And we have very similar backgrounds, Weldon and I. No, and he turned it all around in jail. He turned it all around in jail and got his degree, got his master's in jail. And then when he got out, he started speaking, wrote a couple of books, sold real estate. So that's a great book for anybody. One of my favorite books is No Excuses from Brian Tracy. And he just talks about discipline in 21 specific areas of your life. I mean, obviously business and whatnot, but also relationships and even raising kids, stuff like that. Mindset, The New Psychology of Success. Have you guys read that one? Fantastic book. It's just about mindsets, and there's really two mindsets that people either have: a fixed mindset or a growth mindset. So with a growth mindset, you think you can do anything. You look at challenges as an opportunity. With a fixed mindset, you're just like, look, I was born this way. I was born into this financial situation with my family, and this is just where I'm going to stay. So all those things help you think bigger and help open your mind and broaden your horizons.
Interesting. Most of the kind of information that you're taking in is like inward looking.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to look inward. You got to do it. It's hard. It's challenging. Most people don't want to do it.
Yeah.
But
and that's been super helpful. You find that like that's directly helpful for what you do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think as any human, and I'm sure you guys do the same thing, you're always looking to learn something that's going to make you a better person. Right. And I think if you do that, I tell you what, I think if you don't do that, you get left behind. Well, with technology, imagine if you were still using a flip phone, because you didn't want to learn the new technology of an iPhone. You would be so far behind. I remember my mom's like 70 something. She was terrified of an iPhone. But I was like, no, check it out. Look what you can do. Okay. Now she's like, I Googled this, I Googled that, I got something coming from Amazon, what she's like on Pinterest all the time, right? She's a totally different person.
It's a dangerous thing to teach your parents how to use an iPhone.
Technology.
I taught my mom how to use the special effects on iMessage.
Okay.
Every time she sends me a message is with invisible ink.
Oh, yeah.
It sucks because she sends me like chunks like this, and I'm like, I'm not done reading it.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, but I'm also in a great organization called the Mike Ferry Organization, and that's my business coach, and it's real estate based, and so I have a coaching call every week, with somebody who's a lot better at me at what we do, and holds me accountable, holds me really accountable. So we track our numbers. I prospect quite a bit on the phone. I get up at 5:30. I'm at the office at 7, and I get on the phones at 8, prospecting for new business, trying to sell my listings, trying to find new listings and whatnot. So it's nice to have that accountability, somebody looking over your shoulder, if you will.
So essentially, you have a phone call with this person once a week. You're correct. And they check up on you, and like, do they set goals with you?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I have daily, weekly, monthly, and annual goals.
Super structured.
Extremely structured. Like, we literally have an analyzer where on the computer where we punch in our numbers and we see our ratios and where we're headed, and we track where our business comes from, so we know where to spend our time and things like that. Yeah.
Right. So you're always kind of tweaking the equation, the steps that you're taking to get better numbers or whatever. Absolutely.
Yeah. Either hopefully up, but sometimes down. Sometimes at the beginning of the year when you write your business plan, you're all fired up. Mm-hmm. You just went to a great event. We hold these great events all the time. And, you push the numbers up a little bit. You're like, I'm gonna. Then January and February kick your butt, and you're like, I'm gonna adjust those down a little bit. Yeah, be a little more realistic. Yeah. So.
Well, I imagine January and February are slow months out of the year anyway.
They can be challenging. Absolutely. I mean, in Southern California, we're blessed with great weather for the most part. I mean, it's been a little rainy this year, but for the most part, we're pretty blessed. I mean, but great thing about this Mike Ferry organization is we've got clients all across the country, all throughout Canada. So in all kinds of different climates. So, I mean, I've got friends that sell homes in 6 feet of snow. It doesn't matter. Like, so that motivates you.
Right.
You know, that motivates you because like Californians, like it sprinkles a little bit and we're like, storm watch, right? Storm watch, batten down the hatches, you know?
Yeah.
And I got guys in Ottawa where it's like 0 degrees, you know, and shoveling snow out of their driveway to go on a listing appointment. So it's nice to have people to
It puts things in perspective.
it does put things in perspective. Absolutely. Absolutely. And then another great thing I do is as I role play, I've got about 12 role play partners where we role play our scripts and dialogue.
Is this a separate thing?
Well,
Is this related to real estate, or is this like, okay?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And they're all people that are in this Mike Ferry system.
Okay.
It's kind of cult-ish, this Mike Ferry thing. I will say we're kind of crazy. But, you know,
We do not belong to this cult.
Right. No, it's great. It's great because we're all like-minded and we're all trying to get the same results. So it's handy. But yeah, so I role play, our dialogues and our scripts with each other, and I've got partners in Washington and Arizona, Idaho. So you get this mix of all these different ways that they do business. It's great for learning.
So someone plays the client, and someone plays the seller.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. Or I play
sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, one plays the agent, and then the other plays the prospect, if you will.
Right.
Yeah, we call them prospects.
Prospects.
Yeah.
Terminology.
Yeah.
Right.
You guys are prospects. Right?
I'm not if you saw our accounts.
Not yet.
We're like prospects that are incubating or something.
Well, I've got different prospects. So I've got a contact management software, and then you just load people in there, you know, with different buckets, they call them, you know, and people you meet, just put them in different buckets. So you guys would be like buyers 90 days out, 90 days plus. I always put a plus at the end.
Right.
So
It's so interesting because what led you to enroll in this program? Did they reach out to you, or were it just one of those things where you decided on your own, I'm going to find someone to help me?
Well, after I sold that first place, I realized that things were a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And so really my job is to find new business. And when you're a new agent, people aren't just like banging your door down. Hey, I want to work with you. You're brand new.
Yeah.
You know, please come list my $3 million house, you rookie. You know, that just doesn't happen. So you have to go find it, and you have to know what to say to people to get them to buy into what you're saying, essentially.
So how do you do that though if you don't have that experience?
Do you use social media or things like that to kind of promote your skills?
But I mean, assuming you find someone who's going to have a conversation with you and entertain that, like how do you convince them if you're not of X experience?
Well, the training helps. You know, the reading the books and the business coach and the role play and it all helps. It's all a combination of things. But essentially, selling, which is what I do, is asking questions. You know, why do you want to move? What's going on? You know, you're getting divorced, or you want a bigger home, or the kids went to college, you want a smaller home. You know, you gotta have. So the three things that an agent looks for is when, where, and why. When do you want to move? Why do you want to move? And where do you want to move? And so asking questions is how you get to where you want to be. Yeah. And I'm not that great at asking questions. I'm getting better at asking questions, but now I'm working on listening to the answers. Because
what do you mean you're not good at asking questions? You just said that the 3 pillars of a person.
Well, it's a learned skill, asking questions. Most
Right.
people, when they have a conversation with someone, they want to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
True.
And while the other person, they don't ask questions. They don't ask questions. And while the other person is talking, they're waiting to respond.
Yep.
They're thinking about how they're going to respond as opposed to listening with the intent of understanding, which is what makes a good communicator.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I feel like if you're the type of person who picks up on those kinds of subtleties, it's a major turnoff if someone is speaking to you that way, where they aren't listening and they're preparing speech, as you said, and you're going to do business with that person, it's like, nah, I don't care for this.
Not
Like, they
listening.
aren't listening to what I'm saying. I can see would be very off-putting.
Yeah.
We have plenty of people we know who do that. I mean, people that go on for 20 minutes about themselves, and you kind of think, okay, like, I see this person once every, not that often, let's say, being as vague as possible here.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
And the last time I saw them, they just talked about themselves for like 20 minutes. Maybe that was a one-off, they were excited about whatever. See them again, X amount of time later. Same thing. And then by the third time it happens, you're kind of like, all right, even if you're an astronaut and you have the most exciting job in the world, like, this is getting to be a little bit rude. You should at least ask at least one thing about my existence.
Yeah.
Like, what is this?
It's a one-sided conversation.
It's
Typically,
brutal.
most conversations are. It is brutal. Yeah, I'm glad you guys realize that. Yeah.
Yeah, you get annoyed.
Having said that, I also talk a lot and don't ask a lot of questions, so I fully admit that.
I tell you what, it's something you constantly have to work on.
Yeah.
You just have to work on it all the time, and asking great questions and listening intently, with the intent of understanding. It's a skill. It's definitely a skill. Yeah. But what it's going to do, and I think sales will help you in any aspect of your life, because life is sales. I mean, honey, where do you want to go to dinner? I've got this great Italian restaurant. Oh, I don't want Italian. I want to go to Chinese. It's like, oh, but this Italian, like, you're selling. Throughout your day, it's a
So you practice with your wife.
Yeah,
on a
yeah, I
day-to-day
mean,
basis?
Italian is just Chinese. It's just Italian noodles.
Right. Yeah, Italian stole all the recipes from the Chinese. That's what my wife says. But or you have kids.
Yeah.
Oh, hey, I want candy. Oh no, eat this apple. It's going to be better for you. You're going to grow up to be strong. So life is sales. Life is sales. Another great book I'm reading right now is called People by You. People by You by Jeb Blount. And going back to convincing, that awful word of convincing, you can't do it. So you're constantly trying to get people to buy in to what you're saying by bringing that value, and asking those questions and finding out what their real motivation is and what they're really trying to accomplish, because that's what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, it's, as you said, I think some of the principles are fairly universal, and we certainly see them even in our profession, which is architecture. Speaking to clients or prospecting, or prospects, as we'll call them, and trying to figure out why they would go with you as opposed to someone else, or once they've hired you and you have the contract, how to continue that kind of relationship, right? So it doesn't become this, I'm the artist, I'm the artiste, and fuck what you want to do, because you hired me, you're just going to go with whatever I design, and that's the kind of the deal. And I think a lot of times relationships are burned because of that approach. And also in the end, like, they're the client. They're going to live in the house. They're going to be the ones then living in the house that you sold them, or the house that you designed for them. So it's a little bit rude, to not consider, to not act, not sincerely pay attention to what they're saying.
Yeah, you have to listen, and then things change along the way. That's another thing that people have to be flexible and versatile. Is one of my favorite words. I've probably used it about 20 times this morning. Versatile. Versatility.
This morning?
Yeah, this morning alone.
But versatile in what way?
Well, you just have to be versatile when you're dealing with people, because everybody's different. Like we were talking about before we came on, what I was doing this morning with all these different people. And it's hard to run the same line, the same attitude with everybody. You have to be versatile. You have to, one thing we work on is mirroring and matching prospects.
Really?
Right. So if you talk fast, if I talk fast, you'll feel more comfortable.
Right.
Like if I'm using my hands and real, like that, or you're using that, and then I do that, you just feel more comfortable with me because I'm like you. Yeah. So being able to mirror and match all these different personality styles, and then the personality styles within the personality styles.
Right.
Are you familiar with the 4 personality styles?
No. This sounds intriguing.
Okay. Yeah. This is a good one. Yeah. So there's a driver personality. There's an amiable personality. There's an analytical personality, and there's an expressive. And there's 4, and most people are one of those.
So which one are we?
I would. What's the driver personality? What does that mean?
That's a great question. So, well, first of all, David, you're expressive and you're amiable. And we haven't spent that much time together, but those are two great. They're all great. That's the thing. They're all great. And
There's a fifth called anal, and that's
that could be mixed in with the driver. So a driver personality is one who wants to be in charge and one who wants to take control of the situation. Like you were talking about earlier, working with somebody and you're doing it my way. Drivers can be like that. I will say that there's typically everybody has two styles: a primary and a backup when they're under stress.
Oh.
Under stress.
So sometimes when you're under stress, you'll become a different style. It's kind of complicated.
Interesting. No, that's really interesting. It makes sense. And I wonder if that the stressful personality type is like the most truthful one. Your inner self is coming out.
Yeah, because stress puts a lot on you, right?
Yeah.
Well, the worst of yourself, probably.
Yeah. So what are your personality types? Do you have an idea, or is that something that someone else has to tell you?
Oh no. Well, everybody has their own opinion, but I'm an interesting case because my last career I was full driver,
right.
and there's actually tests you can take to determine your personality style. I've been studying it long enough to where I can see what people are pretty quickly. But so my last career I was a high driver because I was a supervisor. I worked in the field, a lot of intense situations. Like being out in the street with cars driving by 60 miles an hour, being on construction jobs with like big heavy equipment, and like you could get killed out there.
Yeah.
And you only have so much time to do the job, and then in surveying, the tolerances are very low. You can't really make mistakes. I mean, at all. You have to be perfect. So I was a little crazy. When I got into real estate, I realized fairly quickly that wasn't going to work. The best realtors are amiable personality styles. And amiable wants everybody to be happy. Yeah, look at Marina. She's like, you know what?
I could ask questions about.
Yeah, you have an accent. It's cheating. The accent is actually like 10 points to your skill level.
But amiable, you want everybody to be happy,
right?
So you're asking questions. Hey, how's this going to help? Do you like this? So I'm shifting from a driver to a more analytical, to where like I analyze numbers and facts and figures and stuff. I'm kind of a weird one, actually. Yeah.
You're in transition.
I'm in the process. Yeah, I'm in transition. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I'm also I like people to be happy, and then I'm also very expressive.
It's so funny because, we've met before over a delicious plate of nachos. It's that plate of nachos I still dream about.
You know what's so terrible? They closed that place down.
No
Seriously?
way.
Oh, I'm still devastated
Why?
every time I go there.
After we came.
Trejo's Tacos is coming in there now. Yeah.
Isn't that like a big brand?
Yeah, it's like a chain.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Anyways, those nachos are great. I miss them too.
But that beer
Show's
place, the show's over. But the bar that's right across from the
326.
Oh, yeah, that's good beer. What were we talking about? We're distracted with nachos.
I'm going there tonight.
Are you really?
Maybe right after the show.
No, it's funny. So yeah, we met you over those nachos and the beer. It is so hard to imagine that you were before a land surveyor and had this kind of personality type as you're describing it, which totally makes sense if you're in that world. Again, you're next to cars going 60 miles an hour and stuff like that. It makes sense. You'd almost have to be that way for safety. But it's funny to kind of imagine you in that role because you, from what we've seen, you do fall into the categories of amiable and those kinds of things. It's like, yeah, this guy talks to people, who communicates himself, and I could totally see it. But the idea of that you had this different kind of life is totally bizarre. Does it feel like a dream to you?
It does. I mean, every day now feels like a dream. Back then, sometimes it felt like a nightmare, But I think being able to live the life you want to live and do what you want to do and have choices is pretty dreamy, for sure. Yeah. And I think being able to change is pretty dreamy. Being able to go from one type of person to another type of person. It's pretty cool, right? Humans
It's
are
pretty interesting.
Cool.
And I guess you kind of have to be able to do that pretty quickly. Like you were saying this morning, you have different calls, and each call you have to, maybe morph slightly to, to be comfortable with whoever you're talking to.
Well, I had 2 appointments today. One was at a $5 million huge home in Hancock Park. The other was at a $500,000 1-bedroom condo in Hancock Park. So 2 different situations completely. And I literally went from one to the other. So yeah, you just have to be versatile, and you got to care about your clients and what they're trying to accomplish. So that helps you be versatile.
Right.
Yeah. Having that inside you of wanting to help people. Excuse me. Yeah.
Wouldn't be aware that you have to read the personality on the other side and adapt yourself to that, right? Like you said, you cannot just have one way to do it and it's the same way for everybody.
Can't do it.
It just doesn't work.
Yeah.
But I think that's an interesting observation, that if it's sincere, legitimately sincere, and it's inside you, it makes things a lot easier.
Absolutely. Yes.
Well, then you want to gain the trust, right, from people.
That's what it's all about,
right? So yeah, you can bullshit that.
So when you're prospecting, you're talking to these potential clients, do you actually go through a checklist and think to yourself, okay, if I had to guess, or at this moment, what do I feel? What am I reading from this person? Do they seem to be one of these 4 categories? And are there other things that kind of you go through your head to try and figure out how best to communicate with them?
Fantastic question. The sooner you can determine what personality style they are, the easier the call is going to be. Yeah, the better equipped you'll be to ask the type of questions, and then mirror and matching. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people that I call, their home was on the market and it didn't sell for one reason or another. The agent, the price, the condition, who knows? So they're upset.
Yeah.
They've been, keeping the house clean for 3 months, and nobody made any offers, so they're upset. So yeah, if I'm upset, they're like, yeah, this guy's on my side, know? Yeah. So,
fuck that agent.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, the quicker you can determine their personality style and then their situation, where they're at, what they're trying to do. Yeah. The better off you are. Yeah, for sure.
Do you turn down clients sometimes that want you to sell their home? Or, if you see like a big red flag or you're just not interested with that project, you just say, no, thank you.
You guys are professionals at asking these great questions. I love this. Absolutely. You
do, so you can be selective as an agent. You don't have to just.
It's hard because you want the work, and I think that every opportunity could turn into more opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's challenging to turn down work, but I think I've had situations where I wish I had turned down the work, that turned out to be a nightmare for me. And what happens is it ruins your mindset. Like a bad deal that you can't sell with a tough client, it'll mess your mindset up if you're not really, really strong. Yeah.
Like positivity, you mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you just have somebody dumping negativity on you at every chance they get, it's going to drag you down. Like I say, no matter how strong you are, it's going to get to you.
It's going to get to you.
Yeah. You can see
that's why we need that nacho place.
Yeah, right.
But are there... I think the client relationship is really interesting because we are in a service industry, as are you, right? We could call it that. And you meet people who are naturally good at speaking with potential clients. And you talk to them, like, how do you do it? And they're like, oh, I do it. Like, yeah, because you're a natural talent. But, the idea of the 4 personalities is really fascinating because it's starting to kind of quantify things in a way, or at least make information or understanding of people more transferable. Like you could tell us about it. It helps us kind of understand things. Have you come across any other, I don't know if test is the right word, but kind of processes that help you understand a person that are like that? And not just because of your natural charisma and your natural, communication skills.
Well, I think meeting people in person is very important.
Yeah.
So you're always trying to get that next step. So typically I meet people on the phone first, and then I want to meet them in person. And then you just kind of want to up the ante with your conversations, start talking numbers and actually moving, like actually packing and moving, because a lot of people are like, oh, I want to sell my house. I want to sell my house. I'm like, oh, well, where are you going to move when you sell your house? oh, I don't know. I haven't thought about that. And I'm like, well,
Does that happen?
every day.
They go into the column of 150 days out.
Every day. So it's like, well, we're gonna sell your house, so you need to know where you're gonna go, you know. And then that just opens up a can of worms a lot of times, you know. Well, what am I gonna do with all my stuff, and you know, this and that, and you know, so yeah, it's again, asking questions is where how you get to where you want to be. Yeah.
Do you ever find yourself, this is a silly question, mimicking the person too much, like copying their accent by accident? I feel like I've done that sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah?
I do that at home. I hope you don't do that anywhere else.
No, I'm not kidding. So I have a very diverse group of friends here in Los Angeles. That's one of the reasons I moved to Los Angeles, because how diverse the city is. I've got friends from Argentina, you know, Bolivia, Brazil, you know, Japan, Russia, Ukraine. And honestly, if I hang out with them too much, I'll adapt their style of talking, you know. I'm talking in a Russian accent, you know. And I don't know. I think it's just human nature, you know. You kind of adapt to what you're dealing with at the time. I'll be honest with you. I watched this Sebastian Maniscalco Netflix comedy special.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
And he's like from Chicago, you know what I mean? So I've been bringing out a little bit of that lately. People are like, hey, what are you doing?
Today it's Chicago.
Right. And I'm like, well, you know, I watched a TV show, you know, so I'm talking like that now. So yeah, you can get a little carried away. Ultimately, you got to be yourself. But when you're initially trying to make that connection with somebody, it does help to mirror and match them. Their rate of speech. Like if somebody talks really fast, you can talk really fast too. Or if somebody's like, you know, they talk and then they pause, and you don't want to interrupt people.
Yeah.
So a rule of thumb is to wait 3 seconds when somebody stops talking. To wait 3 seconds before you respond, because they might not be done with their thought.
Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of times you can't do that.
It's just an awkward, like, dead space.
Well, a lot of times, look, so when you're on the phone prospecting, you can't wait 3 seconds because they'll just hang up on you.
Really?
Right? So you have to kind of break those rules, you know, and I have to cut people off. You know, I'll see that where they're going, and then I'll cut them off. Yeah, but so it's kind of rude, but sales is kind of rude, you know.
Well, you're talking about like the initial call.
Right.
As you're talking about.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
trying to get somebody to invite you into their home from a telephone call. I mean, I've never heard of you. I don't know who you are. This is crazy all the time. Right.
So how much time of your work effort is spent prospecting, getting new clients? And then how many calls you have to make before one of them is a hit? I don't mean a hit in that it actually works out to where that you sell something for them, but just the next step in the process.
Great question again. I prospect from 8 to 11 in the morning.
Every day? Every
day. Yeah, that's every day. If I don't have any appointments, I prospect from 2 to 5 in the afternoon. So that's 6 hours a day. Wow. So typically, as a realtor, you want to spend about 80% of your time searching for new business.
80%.
Yeah, 80%. That's really your only job, because without work, you have nothing.
I mean, I guess it makes sense when you stop and think about it, but
it's a lot of time.
It's a lot of time.
That's in a perfect world,
right?
You know, that doesn't always happen. That's just what your schedule is telling you to do. But things happen. You know, like today, I wasn't able to prospect because I had these appointments in the morning. But so for me, it takes about 173 contacts to get a listing appointment. So I have to reach 173 people that are the owners of the home, and I have to confirm that they're the owners of the home. So like Dave, you know, ring, ring.
Oh, yeah, right. Well, good morning.
Hi, I'm looking for Michael Hogan. And at that point, even if you hang up, that's a contact. That's classified as a contact.
So 170-ish, right?
Yeah,
for one to pan out to where they say, and what's the next step after that?
An appointment, a listing
phone.
presentation, essentially.
In person or over the phone?
It can be either or. Yeah, typically in person.
So I'm trying to understand this. So 170, is that like a couple weeks of talking?
Okay, so I typically make 30 contacts a day. minimum.
So
So yeah,
math is terrible.
Yeah.
no. So we're talking like 6 days of prospecting to get one appointment.
Wow.
Yeah. And then those appointments don't always pan out.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah,
But-
that's yeah.
Yeah, but we go through a process called pre-qualifying to where I ask even more questions after I set the appointment. Like I'm trying to, I call it disqualifying a lot of times.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to do that, but you're just trying to really get down to what's really happening so you don't waste your time.
And that's a question is a standard one that gets sent out. You send out pretty much with anyone, right? It doesn't vary per client.
Oh no, it's as far as the questions and
Yeah.
the pre-qualifying, yeah, no, it's all the same. Yeah.
It's really interesting because again, for architects, it's like I think a lot of architects care so much about the work itself, like the project and the design. Sometimes just the design and not even the finished product.
Right.
That we kind of forget that we are in a service industry and that we don't build anything unless we have a client. We don't get clients, but referrals are always the best. But some you don't have referrals, then you have to go find clients.
Hustle.
And you have to hustle and you have to make phone calls and whatnot. And it's a whole side to the conversation, which could be up to 80% of the effort that just doesn't get thought about in our profession, at least, because all we
Right.
think about is, oh, how beautiful is this drawing kind of thing. It's really interesting.
But no, it's the same thing. William Hefner, as you guys may be aware of, is a great architect in Hancock Park, has a fabulous office on Wilshire Boulevard. We've had conversations about prospecting where William, actually, he's very successful. He used to go door to door
really?
with like flyers, looking for business. How can I help you? Kitchen remodel, bath remodel. What can I do for you? So I think everybody starts,
In that same way.
yeah, in that same way, right?
Do you do door-to-door stuff? Do you
Sure.
like drop off flyers with your face on it?
I door knock. Yeah. I door knock. I'm not a huge flyer guy, but I'll bring along, like if I get a new listing or if I sell a listing, I'll bring a flyer with me. A lot of times people don't want it. I'm trying, my objective is to create a relationship with these people. And a flyer's not going to do that.
Yeah.
They're just going to throw it away.
I mean, at my parents' house down in Orange County, they always get these free, I guess, like telephone pamphlets, the pad you keep by the phone to write notes on.
Very common.
It says, there's a few, and they always rhyme. There's like, there's an Asian one that's really funny, but there's the Deem team. I see their faces like all the time because they're in my house all the time.
Right.
Never going to call them, but I look at them like, what is their rate of return on this? Out of all the pamphlets they've given or notepads they've given out, like, are they getting calls? I guess they do.
It's a tough job.
To the Deem team.
It happens. You'll get a call, but that type of marketing and that type of prospecting is not very efficient.
Yeah.
It's more like it's more just part of the whole of the entire process of running a business, if you will. Just that marketing.
Right.
Yeah.
Wait, so what other things do you do to get new clients? You make phone calls, sometimes door to door.
Yeah, phone calls, door to door is a great way to do it. I do send out like postcard to the neighbors when I list or sell a home. I send out a postcard to the neighbors, and I also I prospect my database quite a bit. So I'll send mailers to my database, and then I also call my database, and once in a while I'll do an email. I don't like to badger them too much. I'd rather talk to them on the phone or shoot them a text just to keep that communication line open, and asking for business from them.
Referrals.
Referrals,
Asking for
it's a huge-
business from your friends is harder than you would think. Like you would think people would be like, "Oh man, anything I could do to help you. You're starting a new business. What can I do for you?" It's not like that. People don't care.
But is it because they? I feel like sometimes it's maybe because they don't take you seriously yet. I'm not talking about you specifically, just like in general.
Yeah.
They might be wondering like, we'll see how it goes. They're talking about this podcasting or whatever, but we'll see if it actually flies and if they end up doing it for X period
Totally
of time.
true. Yes. After a couple years and you're successful, they'll want to work with you.
Right.
They'll be like, "Hey, when am I going to get on that podcast?" But yeah, at the beginning, they're hiding from you. Yeah. So
So how do you sell the house?
What are you talking about? That's what we just
Well,
No,
discussed.
but I mean, how do you
like,
find
no,
buyers? Like,
It's absolutely a great question. Exposing the home, number one. We put it on the MLS, our multiple listing service. So 88% of sales come via your multiple listing service from another agent bringing one of their clients. But I hate to say it first, but open houses, open houses, to reopen the house to the public and to brokers as well. But really, pricing is huge. The pricing is how you sell a home. Yeah, if I have to be frank about it, pricing is how you sell a home. Because, if you price a home properly, people are going to come. People are going to come. But also great photographs, great marketing, again, exposure, quality. Yeah, quality exposure. Yeah.
I guess it depends again on the seller and what they're trying to do.
Right.
If they're trying to sell it quickly, that changes things. But so without a seller in mind, it's kind of hard to have the conversation. But I'm curious how often do you underprice, not only to sell it quicker, but then knowing that it's going to end up inflating because you're going to get people kind of competing for it. You know what I mean?
That's a great pricing concept. It's hard to get sellers to agree to price their home below market value. It's a great strategy, if you will. But again, it's very difficult. So not very often, to answer your question, not very often do I get there. Usually you just come to an agreement of somewhere in the ballpark, and then you make adjustments as it goes along. Like if you've been on the market for 2 weeks and you haven't had any offers, you're overpriced.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. Yeah. If you've been on the market for 2 weeks, no offers, you're overpriced. And then you can come to your client and be like, hey, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. We haven't had any activity. We need to drop the price.
And when that happens, is there some kind of waiting period before you relist it at a lower price? Like to kind of take it off and like give it time and do a reset, so to speak? I mean, or if people are looking at it, it's like, oh, this house went down by $300,000 in like the first 2 weeks and it keeps fluctuating, it's going to create an iffy kind of aura around it.
Absolutely. There's all kinds of different strategies with that as well. And I think being creative helps you as an agent, helps your sellers. So I have a situation. Can we talk about specific situations?
Yeah.
It's up to you.
It's up to you, yeah.
Right. Where we listed this home for sale and my clients were living there with their furniture and it was specific to them. And we listed it at a high price and didn't get any activities. So we dropped the price. Again, with them living there, same situation, didn't happen. They moved out. We spent a bunch of money painting the place and cleaning it up. Each time taking it off the market, like you're saying, each time canceling the listing and then reactivating it. So the days on market are reset to zero.
Right.
Because as an agent, if you see something that's been on the market for 30 days, it gets a little stale. And buyers see that too. So
quickly, how long is that period where you take it off and put it back on?
It's just it's immediate.
Okay,
it's immediate.
Okay.
So you cancel and you relist. So there's actually no physical time. Okay. It's just on paper.
Gotcha.
And you'd be surprised a lot of people don't see that it was on the market previously. Like as soon as you do that, you'll get a bunch of calls. Oh, I see this just came on the market.
Right.
So it's kind of a trick, but
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah.
What are you going to do? And we had the home staged. Right. So all their furniture out, repainted, staged, lower the price, boom, into escrow immediately. Right. So it was kind of a process. Like we tried the high price. We tried with them living there and their furniture. And then we just made adjustments along the way.
So when you say stage, to be clear, you're putting in furniture and making it look like something that would be appealing, but moved in.
Correct.
Like
yes.
a model home.
Right. Like a model home, right? With stage furniture.
I know what stage. I'm just for the people listening that are confused.
Right. Yeah, no, and I apologize. Staging.
No.
Yeah, staging. I'm talking photographs or excuse me, paintings on the wall,
Photographs of a family. Oh, interesting family.
mannequins. No,
Big family on the
no, but like the whole 9 yards, flowers and bowls
Right,
of fruit,
right.
and all this and all that makes a difference
Wait, so where
because
does
then
that
people
stuff,
can visualize.
where does that stuff come from?
I've got
Is it like a
vendors.
warehouse?
That,
Okay.
Yeah, I've got vendors that work.
They
for
come
me.
in and do
yeah,
that?
Yeah, $10,000 for 3 months of staging.
Wow. That's
Right?
an interesting
well, I mean,
business.
it's worth, right?
A lot of times you got to spend money to make money. Yeah.
Especially if your furniture sucks, right?
You said that, not me.
Specific is the word we're using, Marina.
Yeah,
It
specific.
sucks.
Yeah, thank you.
No, but I mean, it's my parents sold their home, the home I grew up in last summer, to move to a new home for retirement.
Okay.
And I was like, you guys should probably like try and move as much stuff as you can, just so it looks that people could project themselves in the house. Like if you have all your
Right.
little, knickknacks and whatever, that might not,
You got to start with decluttering.
right?
And again, that's a process because you are coming into somebody's home that they live in, that they created.
Yeah.
And you're like, see that painting of the dogs playing poker, like it's got to come down. And they're like, I paid $1,000 for that painting. You know what I mean? And it's tough.
I think it's interesting too because so when we lived in New York, we moved around a fair amount of times, and we ended one of our leases early, and so which meant that we had to find new tenants, and that would allow us to leave early without
sublease it. Yeah.
Well, actually, just breaking the lease early.
Okay.
And without paying a massive fee, but a little bit. Anyway, so then we had to do the role of listing the apartment online to the Craigslist and all the other sources, some of which we got in trouble for because we're not technically the owners, but whatever. Then the process of like decluttering or taking photographs and then figuring out like what's the best angle that's going to be appealing to the person that's going to come in at this price range, but the general public, not an architect. Because for us, when we go out to see an apartment, even if it is occupied, we can kind of see past all the crap and see the bones of the place and be like, well, this is great, good light, this is symmetrical, kitchen tier, whatever, it's going to be comfortable. I'm not distracted by the excess of dogs around or whatever furnitures. But
you have some vision.
I have some vision. We have some vision, but I feel like maybe for a lot of people, they might not have that. So
most people don't.
It's going to be distracting to see all that stuff, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. You have to cater to the general public. Yeah, you can't cater to specifics, Yeah.
So open houses are interesting. What things do you do in an open house to try and make it appealing?
Free food.
Free food.
I never feed anybody.
What?
Anything. No.
Just wine is what you're saying.
No. Straight booze. No, I'm just kidding. No, I personally don't believe in feeding or
Really?
or hydrating anybody. No, yeah, I don't do
Or
that.
hydrating anybody.
Right, yeah.
Well,
no,
then you get a bunch of people who come just for that, right?
that's the problem. You get people to come, especially agents. Like we do a thing called Brokers Open on Tuesdays here. Well, on the west side, it's on Tuesdays. It's different for each area. But yeah, I mean, I know agents in my office that will literally go through the Broker Caravan magazine looking for who's serving lunch. Like because they'll advertise it, catered.
Yeah.
Agents know. If you cater it, you're going to get more people in.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean they're necessarily have a buyer or whatever. So yeah, I have no desire to support these agents or the public's eating habits. And then God forbid they spill something or make a mess. Yeah. Or linger.
But the number of like freeloaders that come in is enough to where you're like, no, I'm not doing that. Because in the movies, that's what you see. There's always a platter of cheese.
Well,
that seems to be how you do it.
Right. No, in the movies. Yeah, that's movie stuff. And again, a lot of agents do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of sellers expect you to do that.
Yeah.
A lot of sellers expect you to do that. I am, again, very honest, with them and let them know. Honestly, about 1 or 2% of homes get sold at open houses or via open houses. If a buyer wants to see the home, they're working with an agent, most likely. They'll schedule an appointment to come see it. But open houses can be good. They're typically for the agent. I hate to break the lid off of that. But
Yeah, that's interesting.
open houses are typically for the agent to pick up unrepresented buyers and potentially local sellers who are like nosy neighbors that are coming in
Yeah.
to take a look and see how much better their house is than your house, you know?
We almost did that recently.
Right.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a house down the street of my folks who I don't think it's sold yet, but it's been.
No, I think it's sold.
It's sold. Well, it was on the market for months,
Long time.
months, maybe like 6 months or something like that.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where do your parents live?
Down in Orange, like the city of Orange.
Oh, okay, the city of
pretty
Orange.
Close
Nice,
to like
The traffic circle.
Yeah, very close to
I
the.
sold a home on Everett last year.
Okay.
Just up the way.
Yeah.
It's a cute little area.
They have a lot of nice bungalows. I mean, they're not in right there; they're kind of adjacent. But yeah, a lot of nice bungalows, like really small and nice
sure,
houses.
yeah.
Very interesting.
How long have they lived there?
Oh, long door. They've been there a while.
Any plans on selling?
We'll let
You're
you
doing
know.
your due diligence. If that happens, we'll let you know.
Catching up on my prospecting
so, though.
that I missed this morning.
There's a lot of work that needs to happen on the house before.
David's getting all uncomfortable, shifting himself in his chair. Like,
And mainly because I'm thinking of like all the shit that has to be taken care of before anyone would want to.
you literally, I could tell you got nervous.
His dad keeps going
Yeah,
on
it's a lot of
Zillow
work.
and it's like, yeah, I'm adding a new bathroom and look, the price is jumping up.
okay, yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's not finished.
The house
so-
was 6 bathrooms and 2 bedrooms.
Yeah, so for open houses, I personally put out a shit ton of signs with my name on it and directional arrows, you know, so that drives a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
I get a lot of traffic. I always put a sign in front of Pizza Mosa. So I get the people that are having lunch at Pizza Mosa and then come to my open house.
Really?
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah. People are interested.
Interesting.
They want to know what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then a lot of times I'll door knock, you know, before and invite people, you know, or I'll call and invite people, hey, I'm having an open house, you know, so. Yeah.
So do you represent buyers as well?
Absolutely. Yes.
So when you're with them, you're walking through a home, either occupied or unoccupied. What are the things you look for? What are like some of the first things you look for to know whether or not, well, I guess whether or not it fits the client. And then if you think it's a good fit, to convey to them that it's a good fit, not using the word convince.
Right. I like that. I love convey. Well, it starts with figuring out exactly what they want and what's important to them. You know, a lot of people want a big backyard. A lot of people want an open concept to where they can entertain. That's always a big thing with buyers. We want to have a party, you know, and they never have a party, or I don't get invited to it. And so for me as an agent, that process for me starts when they're sending me homes to look at, or I'm sending them homes that I think they may be interested in. A lot of times I'll turn them off based on the location. You know, I'll go on Google and get the street view, and I'll see what the neighbors look like. I'll see how many cars are parked in the street, you know, to see if there's like a lot of renters in the neighborhood. There's a lot of little red flags that a buyer who's all excited and fired up and wanting to move doesn't see.
And so one of those, what are some of those red flags? One of them you said like a lot of cars on the street would mean probably more renters.
Probably more renters, yeah. Or maybe like an awful neighbor who doesn't take care of their house, like literally right next door, that you would have to share a property line with. And there's 6 dogs in the backyard, you know, stuff like that. But then once we get to the house, you want to show a buyer what they are interested in most. So if they're interested in the big backyard, take them straight to that big backyard and show them how great it is. Then show them the rest of the house. And then take them back to that big backyard before you go.
Right.
Before you leave. Just that's what you're trying to sell is their vision and their dream. And, you know, a lot of times you can just tell how somebody kept the house, like, you know, how the house feels. And I turn on some faucets. I'm one of those guys that's like flushing toilets.
It's a good
Turn
call.
on faucets. I'm in the shower.
Yeah.
You know, like turn the shower faucet on.
We learned that after moving around a few times in New York for just as renters.
Right.
But like the first time, you're like, oh, yeah, looks good. Let's do it. And then
Good
the
to
second
go.
time, like, okay, we have a checklist. And the third time, the checklist is longer and we're going to do every single fucking thing on that checklist before we leave.
Yes, exactly. Right. So you can imagine me doing it over and over and over.
Yeah.
You have a little checklist in your head because like you said earlier, you're selling somebody a house that they're going to be in for a while. And if shit hits the fan right after you close, you're on the hook. They're going to hate you. They're not going to refer you. You're not going to be able to call and ask for business again and stay in touch. So you want to make sure, again, it all goes back to looking out for their best interests and having their best interests in mind first and foremost.
I mean, we have a friend of ours and a number of friends who were educated in architecture, educated in architecture, and perhaps even practiced a little bit, and they go into real estate. And they've always felt that they have a bit of an advantage in that they're able to, talk about the architecture or the space from a perspective that's more educated, we can say, which is sometimes a problem because architects are so used to architect talk, which you might know, and they don't know how to communicate to the average person like what this will mean for them in language that's simple and makes sense.
Right.
So yeah, it's kind of interesting. What are the things that you see in a home that you have to that you convey to the person as being a positive that they might not know is a positive? Like if they want a big backyard, that makes sense that you show them backyard. But are there times when you have to tell them like this is actually really good for these reasons, even though this was not in your kind of vision?
Right. Yeah, I think just being detail oriented and looking at things from a different perspective helps you do that. A lot of times the way the house is presented isn't the way the house will be when everything's moved out, right? When they actually move in, it's going to be a lot different. A lot of times there's blinds that are closed, and so you'll walk in somewhere and a buyer will be like, "Oh, it's too dark in here." It's too dark. It's too crowded. This and that. But then I'm like, hey, well, let's pull these blinds up. Let's just imagine that big, huge couch not there anymore. That 4,000-pound armoire is gone. That's not connected to the wall. All this stuff's going to be gone. And so that is one way. Is that just give examples of how the space could change. Or hey, maybe you could knock this wall down. Somebody wants an open floor plan, but it's not. Hey, maybe you could knock this wall down, and that would open it up. Or, maybe you can move this or move that. Because really, as architects, you can do anything.
Yeah, you can do a bunch of stuff.
You can make any kind of changes you like. Yeah. I tell you, my wife, Eva, is an architect, and it's nice to bring her into a house if I need some specialty, knowledge,
right?
On what you can do. She's usually not that helpful, but
I was going to ask, do you guys partner up?
It's worth a shot
because it seems like the two would go hand in hand.
That's what everybody thinks, but not really. Not really. Yeah.
Why?
She has, I don't know. You architects have a certain personality.
Okay.
It's not very open-minded, and it's like, so yeah. It's a great thought. But it just doesn't really work. Yeah.
You mean like our standards perhaps are too high for things?
Well, I think that every architect, especially a new architect, has certain styles that they prefer. And if the home's not that style, they toss it in their mind mentally. And I think that just goes back to people in general not being very open-minded. But that's what I've found in working with architects is that it's hard they don't have that. A lot of them don't have that vision to where you could, make things a lot different. But then again, that's probably a individual case basis.
But it is interesting because you would think that architects, I don't know, sometimes I'm very curious how the general public views architects, but maybe they would think that they're creative types, right?
I think you're bougie.
Bougie? Yeah, that's right? Kind of accurate.
Nailed it. Yeah, right there, I know.
But I think we're creative and maybe able to role play and think that way. But as you said, I would kind of agree there are a lot that are not that way.
Yeah.
They're pretty focused, which is fine because they're the experts in what they do. But when it comes to communicating with a broader audience or looking out for the individual whose home it's going to be, I feel like it is a different kind of part of the brain or different position you have to take, to be able to do that.
Yeah, and you have a lot of designers and architects that are really ego-centric. So they already know what the project is going to be like before even talking to the client, right? And it's like, okay, well, you're just going to do another project for yourself, basically.
Exactly. Great point, Marina. Yeah.
That sounds like fun.
that doesn't work.
And maybe it's fun for the first one, but like we had a guest last week, and his take on architecture and architects was that there is a certain level of responsibility. Like you're working for the public, for people, that would see your project from the outside, that would live in it. So you have a certain level of responsibility in your design.
Right.
You cannot just like do whatever and be like, oh, it's what it is. And I think I think there is a lot of architects who are that way.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah.
So
I agree.
You gotta weed them out.
We're all in agreement.
But we're not that way. We're the two.
Yes, right.
So you don't work with architects, really?
Not too much.
Not too much?
I mean, I
Too
guess
much.
if you
Only
did,
if I have to.
but if you
Just
did work
kidding.
with them, it would be in what capacity, though? As a way to help sell, for them to come along and help explain things, or would it be to?
I don't know.
Well, I think it would be in a situation where it was a new build. It was a new build, and you're trying to convey to them what's going to sell, right? So you're working with the architect, you're working with the owner, or trying to convey to them what's going to sell, and more importantly, what's not going to sell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is an interesting marriage because a lot of the projects that we worked on in New York were larger ones. And so they're not for a single client,
Yeah.
and it's a developer project, and they're going to rent these units or sell them or whatever. So it's an interesting marriage, an interesting conversation between the architect and those in real estate and marketing and everything that know what's going to work. It's like, no, we want to have floor-to-ceiling windows because we know, I mean, who doesn't like that? But we know that that's going to be appealing to the market for the next X number of years.
Right.
Or like this kind of kitchen is what's in right now, even if you don't think it works.
And what's funny is that actually goes back to what you were saying about your experience with architects being kind of not so open-minded.
Rigid.
Is the experience I had, for example, in New York working with developers, is that there is only like neutral colors you can use as finishes, because if you pick anything too specific, I understand the clientele might not be interested,
Yeah.
but then at the end, everybody designed on the same standards. Then, so how do you push, new things to happen and interest different clienteles and things like that?
Yeah, well, that's a tough question, but that's also slightly different because they're talking about doing a tower that has to appeal to a bunch of people. So they're going to kind of choose the generic thing that's gonna work. But I think if you're dealing with like a single client, it's maybe more fun,
Yeah,
Or
probably more
variety.
fun. How I would attack that is I would bring in more minds. I would bring in more people if I wanted to kind of break the mold of what's hot right now, what's it right now. I would bring in some younger minds. Younger minds are always great for new creative ideas, and really just get some more opinions and ideas, and then work with the seller as well, or the client, if you will, to see what they like specifically, Yeah.
Does VR ever come into play in the real estate business or
VR?
virtual reality?
Oh, VR.
VR, yeah.
Yes, it is becoming a bigger player in real estate right now. I've got a buddy, Daryl Chong, that works on that stuff related to real estate. He'll do videos and whatnot. And again, it all goes back to vision, and people are checking this stuff out online first, and to be able to virtually experience a home before you go see it or decide to go see it would be huge. Yeah, so I think down the road it's gonna be big.
Because thinking about it, it wouldn't take a whole lot of time to model up most of the houses you see, even more complicated ones, model them up in a rudimentary way for them to understand and at least be able to see the space either decluttered without someone else's stuff or with potential things in it. Like it would be really, really easy to do. It would take a couple hours to model.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and so I'm just curious how when those two worlds meet. I mean, I feel like a lot of times you'll have these industries that are closely related to each other and could have some kind of synergy between them, but they just stay kind of separate. Like
Right.
I'm telling you, like I could model something in SketchUp or whatever in a couple of hours to match whatever home it is. But has that happened yet, in real estate? And how often does it happen?
It hasn't happened yet, unfortunately, but it's on its way. It's on its way because what's going on right now is like, it's fairly new, drone videos,
Right.
well, because before it was just only photographs, and then it was like a video of somebody like walking through the property, now it's drone videos, which, is a little more techie, a little cooler. But I'm telling you, VR's next.
That's the
Yeah,
thing.
VR is coming. Yeah, I know. I just inquired about it. Yeah, with my buddy Daryl. Like I said, that's what he does.
And
So-
and they're used, and so like right now it's mostly to allow, well, I guess people to see stuff when they're not actually physically there.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in New York trying to buy a house in California,
Yeah.
right, and you can't get out to see it, because I mean that happens. You'd be surprised. Sight unseen. Yeah.
That's so strange. I mean, again, just as renters in New York, it was a similar thing. It's like, oh, this building's about to be finished. Do you want to rent? Here's the square footage. Can we see the unit? Oh, we have. Sometimes they don't even have a model unit.
Right, it's not even finished
It's
yet.
not even finished. Or at best, they have a model unit. I'm like, okay, is this the unit? Well, not really. Is it facing the same way? North, south? No. All right. Well, then this is a different
Right,
unit.
it's totally different. Yeah.
Is it going to be the same fixtures? No. All right. Well, then why am I even here?
But as salespeople, you're going to have a good finished product regardless of what side of the building it's on or this and that. And, inventory in general is very low. So a lot of buyers are very anxious to get their hands on whatever they can. And location. So if you have a building that's in the location that you need to be, that's the most important thing, is the location of it, as opposed to the aesthetics of the actual
Right.
the actual unit, if you will. Yeah.
So most of the things you sell, do you have a question?
No, go for it.
Okay. Most of the things that you sell are located where in Southern California?
Doing a lot of work in Hancock Park right now, which is really cool. It's a great area.
Where is Hancock Park?
Hancock Park is south of Melrose
Okay.
and basically east of La Brea, north of Wilshire,
Okay. Yeah.
west of Wilton. See what I did there?
That's pretty good. That's pretty
It's
good.
a nice little, it's a little square, yeah, but it's a really cool area with some beautiful, beautiful homes, all the way up to about $10 million, and then down to condos to about 500,000, like I was saying about earlier. But I mean, I've sold homes in Beverly Hills, West Hollywood, Pasadena, South LA, Burbank, right here, good old Burbank, San Fernando Valley, San Gabriel Valley, again, Ventura County, Orange County. Yeah, it's pretty much the same process wherever it's at. And essentially it comes down to me wanting to provide my service to my clients wherever it may be. Yeah.
Do you find, this is a tough question because it relies on
I love the tough ones.
generalizations, but are more people heavily involved in the process and very specific, or what percentage of people are like, yeah, I just want things that meet these 5 qualifications in that price range. Show me some things. Yeah, this looks good. Let's do it.
Usually it's a process, and I use that word quite a bit, a process, because everything's a process. When you start out as a buyer or a seller, your expectations and what you think you want are way up here, But then as reality sets in, you start to whittle things down. So I always try to get what's important to people. Like what's going to be your favorite thing about this next house we get, So yeah, to answer your question, I kind of forgot what the question was.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I was asking the question thinking
Right.
that. I don't know if this is
But things change is what I'm getting at. But budget's huge, right?
Yeah.
People have a certain budget. And that is huge. That's only going to get them so much, you know? So if you have a $2 million budget, but you know, you want this and you want that, I mean, that's, you know, it's not going to get you there. This is what's available for your budget. So I think that's when reality sets in. They're like, okay. And so it is just a process, you know?
So, but how volatile is the market? Like, do you ever get a client that says, okay, I have this much money, and you said, okay, you can get, you know, these are the things that you could potentially get. And like, okay, well, what if we wait a little bit? Am I going to be able to get more in X amount of time? Waiting
is never good. There's never really a good reason to wait because we can't predict the market. Nobody has a crystal ball, you know, of what's going to happen. It's a pretty volatile society we live in right now, and you know, economic, in many other ways. But so yeah, waiting. I mean, Los Angeles real estate's always going to be a great investment, and if you need to sell, usually it's because of something. So, you know, waiting's never good, David.
Okay.
Yeah, don't wait.
I mean, not for me.
Yeah, just... right. No, but to answer your previous question, so yeah, it's a mix of people that are like, hey, I need something in this area. It doesn't matter what it is. I don't care what style it is. It could have 2 bedrooms. It could have 1. It doesn't matter. And then other people are like, oh, I have to have all this stuff, you know, and it has to be in this, or I have to have, you know, 3 bedrooms and 3 baths and 2,000 square feet, but I don't care where it could be. I could be in Santa Monica or Pasadena. You know, I work from home. So you have a wide variety of situations, you know. Some people need specific things with their home. Some people need a specific location. Some people need a specific budget. You know, I can only spend $1 million. What will that get me? Like, I don't even know, you know? So, yeah.
What's the best house you sold? Maybe not in terms of price, like the highest one, but like what deal you made that you felt you accomplished a good one? I
think all of them are special to, you know, they're all great. It's not about the house. It's about the clients. To be totally honest with you, it's not about the house. It is about the clients. I work with my friends quite a bit, so it's always cool to help somebody realize their goals and stuff. But some homes are very challenging to sell. Working with these homes that have been on the market previously that didn't sell with another agent and then taking them over is always a challenge. So place I sold here in Burbank off of Kenneth Road was very challenging and very fulfilling. I sold a place in Beverly Hills off of Benedict Canyon for $2.6 million. That was extremely challenging. We ended up selling it completely furnished.
Really?
My client was a designer. Yeah. And that wasn't on the board initially. Yeah. You know, but the buyer came in and was like, hey, I want all of her furniture. You know, so that was hard. And she was actually in Paris most of the time. Right. So very challenging, very fulfilling. You know, I do like the hard ones personally. You know, I do like a challenge. This place I'm closing on next week has been challenging. So I don't think as an agent you hold on to deals too much. You know, like you don't look behind you too much. You're always looking ahead and for that next one. But I think helping people that really have a specific situation, you know, I think that's most fulfilling for me personally. Yeah.
So how many? I call them projects is what we're used to calling, but they're not. I guess
how many projects am I working on?
Per year, is it? Are you roughly doing? I guess.
My goal this year is 18 deals.
Wow. I feel like that's a lot.
It is a lot. Yeah.
I mean, that's more than a month.
It is a lot.
On average.
The average agent in my MLS, my multiple listing service, sells 1.4 homes a year.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it?
That's crazy.
Right, it's crazy. Yeah. So yeah, if I get to 18, I'll be doing really, really, really well. Yeah. I'm excited about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a pretty good goal.
Yeah.
And you have that weekly call to keep you on track.
I do. Yes. Accountability is going to get me there.
I mean, it's kind of interesting because your timeline is much quicker pace than what we usually deal with, I would imagine. It takes a long time to get something built and going through the city and all that stuff. I mean, if you're dealing with larger projects, it's going to be 6 years or something. But I quite like the idea of being in a profession where, you know, it's architectural, kind of it's related to that,
Absolutely.
but things are faster. You know, you get to see more people and have more things, projects, as I would call them, like done, and you get to move on to something else, something bigger, better, or just different and more interesting.
Turnover's just a little quicker.
Yeah. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I've got a friend, Matt, who's working up in Fresno on a school project. He's an architect. I swear, he's been working on this thing for like half his life, you know? And like, he's like, we're breaking ground finally. And I'm like, dude, it's been like 3 years you've been working on this thing. Yeah. So yeah, it must be challenging. Yeah.
Do you think it's going to be difficult in the future because, you know, the upcoming generations not being able to afford to buy houses because of student loans and all these things?
I think with any generation, there's challenges, right? You know, financially, socially. Yeah, no, I don't think about that stuff. I don't worry about it. You know, like millennials, you guys got to step it up. You know, make more money. You know, work harder. Yeah,
Don't be an architect.
Nobody's going to give this to you. No, like you just need to step it up.
It was funny because we were just talking to the previous guest about this kind of question of well, I think Marina had posed it, if millennials are just lazier than their previous generation. And he had cited
comment, but
he had cited an article stating, what was it? He was kind of the opposite of what I thought, which was the difference has to do with expectations. Again, talking about that millennials are raised with the idea that everyone's special. And if you just do you and you're special because everyone's special, that you will be successful and you'll get what you want because you're special. Whereas the previous generation, maybe they were raised with the idea that if you wanted to get somewhere, no, you're not special. You're going to have to figure it out. And that is what has caused this kind of rift between the two. And it has caused, well, whatever other things that we see, the differences between the two generations. Then in response, Marina said, or is it just because they're lazy? And I would kind of say that it seems like they're lazy.
Well, here's the thing about affordability. If you can't afford it in Los Angeles, there are plenty of places across the country where you can afford homes. And, you know, Kansas City, for example, you can buy a gorgeous home for $200,000. Uber drivers are buying homes in Kansas City. You know, just move. You know, if you can't afford it in Los Angeles, just move. And you know, so yeah, we don't worry about that stuff. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, you know.
I don't worry about those people.
Hey, and speaking of 18 deals a year being a lot, it sounded like a lot.
Yeah.
Agents in those smaller markets sell hundreds of homes a year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, hundreds.
Really?
Hundreds. Yeah. Like if you sell 25 homes here in our market, you've got a team, you've got administrative assistants and transaction coordinators and buyer's agents and all this and all that. These other agents in these smaller markets are badasses. They sell 100 homes a year by themselves. It's a piece of cake. Yeah, they make it look like a piece of cake.
Right. That is interesting. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I guess it's hard to kind of categorize all of the millennials, but
we are considered millennials, by the way.
Yeah, I just found that out too.
I
that
love
we're
millennials.
considered the millennials. I don't want to be.
I hate millennials.
Oh, really? No, don't say hate. They're great. We're stuck with them. What are we gonna do? You know, you gotta accept them, work around them.
Have you ever had to deal with the people in the tech industry? Kids who hit it off big, you know, wrote some script. Now they have like millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. I
haven't personally, but I have some agent friends up in like Menlo Park, you know, that deal with that quite a bit. Yeah. I haven't personally. Yeah.
There's an interesting breed of people. I would like to learn more about them.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm gonna find some people
Go ahead.
that are in that
Go ahead, let me know.
Yeah, actually, speaking of architecture and the consistent learning, that's actually on my wish list or to-do list, if you will, is to learn more about architecture so I can be more fluent in the language, if you will, and be more educated about architecture, because there's a lot of architecturally significant homes throughout Los Angeles. And if somebody's living there, they know about it.
Right.
And if you walk in as an agent, you're thinking, okay, 4 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2,000 square feet, you know.
Like the quantifiable stuff.
Yeah, and they're like talking about this specific molding that they have, and you know, and this and that, and you're like, okay.
I would have torn that out.
Right. And nobody's gonna care about that, but you know. So yeah, I would like to be more educated on the architecture side of things for sure.
Yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking another thing that might be helpful is acting classes, right? Role
Yeah,
playing.
absolutely.
I can see that.
Absolutely.
I've legitimately thought about that for myself, just for the podcast.
Yeah.
Not to role play so much as just to speak more clearly and role play, because I think it'd be fun.
Speech coach.
Speech coach is something on my list.
I think any kind of training is going to benefit you. Not you, but just us.
just me specifically.
Yeah, David, seriously. Any training
anything you can do.
get your hands on, do it. No, but just as humans in general, I think any type of education is going to benefit you. Any type of book you read or class you take or, you know, any type of educational experience.
But I think that's the difference between the person who's working for a company or the government where there's lovely benefits and all this stuff versus a person who's going to go out on their own, either as an architect or real estate agent or whatever. Like the type of person who's going to do that route, I think are much more likely to acknowledge that there are things I need to do to enhance myself if I'm going to do well in this and also just to have better odds of surviving at what I'm doing, you know?
Right. Well, you put yourself out there more. If you're just in that 9-to-5 government gig, it's very, very, very easy to get complacent. You know, like, you know, it's the same paycheck every week. It's coming whether you go to work or not. You know what I mean? You got sick days and vacation, you know, like that paycheck's coming. It's very easy to get complacent. When you're doing what I'm doing or what you're doing, you're putting yourself in the line of fire more often, and you're experiencing new things every day and new challenges every day. So it makes every day interesting.
Yes, it's risky, right? That risk is motivating to figure out how to do things better.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, and that's what I kind of think is interesting about certain businesses where their model allows their employees to make more money based on the work they do. When you work at an architecture office or anywhere else where I could take all the self-help courses I want, and even if I produce better work, it's not going to make a difference to how much I get paid. So why the fuck would I do that?
Right. So you lose that drive.
Yeah.
You know, that drive to create and to be productive, really. You know, yeah.
You had said something interesting the first time we met, which was that you deal with rejection probably a lot more than the average person. Mainly because of prospecting is from what I remember.
Yeah, just when you ask for things, most people say no. You know, yeah. But rejection is your friend. The more you get rejected, the more money you'll make. Yeah, the more business you'll get. Yeah.
So it's a really interesting mentality.
That's it's pretty pretty optimistic.
Yeah, you're not hunting for the no's, you're hunting for the yeses. And once you figure out how many no's it takes to get a yes, that will drive you. Like you'll literally be counting those no's. All right, if I make 5 more calls, a yes is coming.
Right.
Yeah. And that rejection, nobody likes to be rejected. It's not natural for us, right? We didn't grow up being rejected too much. Well, most of us did. Hopefully. David, maybe you did.
Yeah, a combination, yeah.
It was like in high school. It was terrible. But yeah, rejection's tough. It'll make you tough, though. It'll thicken your skin, and it'll make you want to learn and make you want to improve. And not being scared of rejection is very empowering. Yeah, you can do anything if you're not scared to get rejected.
I like it.
And then it's the opposite. If you are scared of getting rejected, you won't do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you won't
It can be debilitating. Yeah.
Yeah, debilitating. Or you might produce decent work or whatever it is, but you'll flatline, you know? And it's like, I mean, even tying this completely to teaching, it's like, I was talking to the head of the department here, or director, whatever the title, chair, and they were saying like the students have to fail. That's like the most important thing that they learned. You have to fail.
What a great perspective.
And
yeah.
if you do a project and you do it well and it turns out perfect, not good. You should have pushed past that, not so much to where it's a catastrophe, but you have to go past that line at least a little bit to taste the failure, to know that you're pushing the boundaries. And every once in a while, actually fail, like flat out fail. And I was like, that's interesting. Because as teachers, you want them to do so well, but you also have to realize you can't have everyone do well. That means that something's wrong.
Yeah.
You know, they need to be fucking shit up.
Right. That's how you learn, is by failing.
Yeah.
That's
It's weird.
the best way to learn is by failing. Yeah. As long as you're able to pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and get back on, you know, that's what matters.
Right. That's the key.
Yeah. That is the key, because a lot of people fail. They never get back up and dust themselves off. They just say, you know what? I'm never trying that again.
Yeah.
I'm never going to make that mistake again.
Ooh,
You know?
painful. Don't like it. I think that's a lovely positive note to end it on. Yeah.
Nice.
Indeed.
Sweet.
I appreciate this, you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming on.
pleasure.
This was an
Coming.
interesting
Yeah,
conversation.
absolutely.